welcome to the G17 Collectables channel. In today's video I thought we would take a look at the cinema slash collectible room slash home office. How I designed this room and all of the kind of choices that's went along with getting the room to the state that it's currently in. So we're going to talk today about some of the shelving and furniture used, as well as colour choices, lighting, which is very important for any collection, and as long as it's done well, it can really make that big difference to the way in which you display your items. So I'm just going to give you a quick overview of the room, how it's all put together, and then go into some details as to all the different things that I've used in order to get this kind of clean display. So I'm very fortunate that I've got a room in the house which used to be the garage. This is a garage conversion, and it was designed and put together particularly in mind to do an office, a cinema room, a kind of TV area, as well as putting all this collectible stuff that I've amassed over the years in the room. So you can see that the room primarily has been done in white. That was a conscious choice, and when I began to think about how I could put this room together and fit everything in, I made some plans, and I looked at everything that was available from a furniture perspective, and made sure that everything that I did was not only able to tie in with one another, but also that if I did go to other furniture retailers or other shelving retailers, that the colours would also match. So the first thing to note, I guess, is when I put the room together a couple of years ago, I decided that I wanted white walls. White walls really does, regardless of the colour, because collectibles can be dark, they can be light, they can be multicoloured. I wanted something that really showed the item off as well as it possibly could. I also, as much as I love things behind glass, I made a choice not to include much glass in the room. Yeah, I've had detolf cabinets in the past. I've had many detolf cabinets and modified them, and they look fantastic. But detolf cabinets only suit a certain size of item. They can be quite restrictive when it comes to the things that you put in the cabinets as well as on top of the cabinets because of their footprint. They also, at certain angles, visually don't allow you to see the item because of either glare or the corners or the sides. So I chose to have everything kind of open, so that no matter what the angle I'm looking at, whether I'm sitting on the couch here, or I'm just walking in the room, or I'm sitting at the desk, that I can look around and I can see things in the best way possible. I also wanted to have a feature wall. I didn't want the whole room being white because it would be too clean, it would be too clinical and too boring. So the back wall, I chose the slate tiling, as you can see here, which was very, very easy to put up. It doesn't go all the way down to the floor because obviously the bookcases along here, it's dead space behind there. So for £100, £150 and doing the work myself, this slate tiling was cut to size. It just comes in panels. And then you just basically use tile adhesive to glue it on the wall. And I think having that there and the statues there really does make a big difference to the room. It gives you a kind of focal point to look at, but it doesn't draw your eye too much towards it, that it says, just look at this wall. I also try and group things together. So I don't like to have things mixed. So in your collection, you may want to group all your Star Wars items together. You may want to group all your Batman things together. In my room, it's a kind of conscious choice to have a helmet section, a statue, kind of quarter premium format section, weapons models. You can see some of the models in the bottom left hand corner. And all the 1/6 is together in the same wall. And then down here, I've got some additional shelves for 1/6 expansion this year. And then down here, I've got kind of some busts and some random kind of like kills, masks. So you can see Batman, you can see Ghost in the Shell. Now there are certain things this room performs. So I've got the desk. The desk is a really good desk. It's got a lovely big space on it. So I've got the Mac, I've got the sound bar for the cinema system, I've got a couple of hot toys sitting on there. And overall, yeah, the choices we've made in this room all kind of tie in together. Now, 90% of the furniture is from IKEA. IKEA do some great low-cost modular furniture. So between the floating shelves and the cabinets down here and the bookcases, it is all the same colour tones. It's all very easy to put together. And IKEA is the place to go, even for your lighting. I've used lighting in here from IKEA as well. And on the subject of lighting, and I'm going to show you how I put all this together, it's really important to think about lighting and how things are done in your room. I use a warm white LED. So IKEA sell two different versions. They have the Dioda and the Ledberg, and I'll go through that in a wee minute and show you how I put this together. But two things I'm really keen on. I don't want a cool white at 6,000K, sorry, because it is too bright, it's too cold, it's too clinical. I want something which shows the items off to the best display that they possibly can. And also I want something which just looks, as good as possible. And the second thing is, you'll probably know that there's no wires. I can't stand, personally, wires lying all over your cabinets. It only takes a couple of minutes or some planning to kind of tidy and hide wires up. I think it makes all the difference. You look at any one of these shelves, they're lit, but there's no visible wiring anywhere in the room. So the lighting makes a big difference, and I'm going to give you some hints and tips on how to do lighting and how to do it well. A couple of other display choices. You'll note that I'm using these IKEA lac floating shelves. Now, they can't take a tremendous amount of weight, although surprisingly they probably can take more weight than you think. These shelves are modified, and they're modified to house LED lights along their front edge. Now, you could just buy these Dioda or Ledberg lights and use some double-sided tape and stick them on, but I don't really want to see them. As you can see here, looking at eye line, you can't really see them. They're hidden in most cases. And how we achieved that option was by buying the shelf and using a very low cost option, some white angle, some white plastic angle, and you can see there that the light is just buried in double-sided tape behind that. And then wiring wise, we've got a little bit of trunking that just takes the wire all the way down. And then in this particular case, I've got a centralised piece of cable management, which is cable trunking, and all the wiring runs down this cable trunking into the cabinets below. And if I show you the cabinet below, you can see there is some wires and there's some plugs in there that power all these different lighting options. Now, they're all plugged in via remote control sockets. So I can walk in the room in the morning and using this remote control, I can turn the lights on and off. Very easy. So you're not having to walk around and switch individual fittings on. They're all grouped together. They've all got power sockets. So I've got 5 power sockets in here which I can use to remotely switch the lighting on and off. Taking a closer look, here's some of the lighting options that I'm using. So IKEA sell the Ledberg and they also sell the dioda. The dioda is my favourite because you get 4 lighting strips and it's got the ability to daisy chain them all across, and you've got a junction box which can control 4 of those individually. So what I've done is I've daisy chained a number of lighting strips together and connected them all to the same centralised junction, so that one socket can power maybe 2 to 3 strips. The Ledberg, they're cheaper, but you have to power a chain of them, say 3 or 4 in a row, with one plug. So one shelf for the Ledberg would be one plug. And I'm also using in the room these remote control sockets. Very cheap to get on eBay or Amazon, £20 for 5 plugs in the remote control. And then we discussed this earlier, IKEA also sell this mini trunking. You get about 5 1 metre lengths for I think £5–6. And this is what I use, and you can see it's just a hard back which you can double side tape onto the wall, and you pop your wire in like that and it just hides it. And that essentially is what exists inside the shelf and gives that shelf the edge. So you can see here again, the wire from the lighting just goes through that piece of trunking. And this is one I haven't finished off yet. So you can see this one wire going all the way down. All I need to do is pop a bit of this trunking on the wall with some sticky tape and then put the wire in it. And it tidies everything up and gives you a nice clean look. And here is the white angle. So this white angle, very inexpensive. In the UK, you can buy this white angle at Screwfix or B&Q. It's 10mm by 10mm. It comes in 2 metre lengths, I believe, and it's only about £2–3 per length. So all I do is I cut this to size, which is the length of the shelf. I then use some super glue to glue that to the edge of the shelf, as I said before. You can see it here. That's been super glued onto the shelf. And once I've done that, I then take one of the lighting strips. I put some 3M double-sided tape on the back, and then that just nestles quite nicely into that strip. And you can see, if I turn that round, it's perfect. That lighting strip, that's a Ledberg, it is 10mm, and it hides it very, very well. So that's lighting. And as I said before, lighting in my view is very, very important. There's no point in spending hundreds and thousands of pounds on your collectibles and not also taking the care to think about how they're displayed and how they're lighted. I've seen a lot of great collections out there. There's some fantastic display ideas and items out there, but sometimes they're let down by the quality of the clean display and the lighting. So for me, it's very, very important to make sure you get that right. A couple of other things. You'll also note that I've used a different colour of shelf at the top of each of the shelf displays than what I have in the middle. And again, that was a conscious design choice as well. You can see I've used a mixture of oak and white furniture. And if you look at the way I've done it, what I wanted to do at the top of each of the displays was almost like have an end to it so that your eye stops at that point. I think if these top shelves were white, and the only reason why the shelves exist is to provide lighting for the top section of each of the displays. So it not only provides that light option, but it also gives your eye a kind of place to stop. It gives you limitations of the display, so your eye doesn't continually wander up into the ceiling. So that's something to consider as well. And also in any room, any cinema room or whatever, any man cave, you also want to consider storage. a lot of the things that we collect in our universe come with different various parts. You also have to think about hiding your power sockets, hiding the way in which you control your lights, etc. And you can see I've just got some IKEA cupboards down here, and it's just storage or wiring, as I showed you before, or all the different display acrylic options I've got spare, or even just bits and bobs of your display. Now, talking about, not using glass, just when I see that glass door there, the question will be, well, does it not create a lot of dust? The answer is yes, it does, but not as much as what you think. I actually quite enjoy the kind of regular cleaning and regular maintenance of all the collectibles. I think regardless if you've got them behind glass or not, they're always going to get dusty. As I'd mentioned before, what I don't want is I don't want glare, and I don't want something detracting from the overall look. So once a week, I'll choose a bit of a section and I'll give it a bit of a clean and a bit of a dust. So I take, for example, these 4 figures off that shelf, I'll wipe the shelf down and clean it. And then for each figure, I'll use one of these, and it's a makeup brush. And all you really do is you go in and you very lightly take off some of the dust from all the different areas, and it seems to work rather well. Couple of other choices that I've made in the actual display. So moving away from like furniture and wall colour and lighting, think about, as I said before, grouping items together, weapons, statues, 1/6. But in my view, I think one of the things that really enhances the display, now I love an autograph, I love going to conventions, I do really enjoy that whole aspect, but it's really difficult to display every autograph that you've ever got. I've got a folder full of autographs, and as you can see in this wall, I've got some autographs up, and some of them will remain in the room no matter what. So like Mark Hamill, Michael J. Fox, Carrie Fisher. But the autographs you see from Elijah Wood and Sigourney Weaver, they're only there to fill that shelf. So you can see I'm always thinking about ways to expand the room, give myself some options, but I'm not just going to have empty shelves. So I use the framed autographs to kind of give me something to fill on that space until I start ordering more or the pre-orders start coming in, and then I can take the autographs away and fill that shelf. But I also like to think about incorporating, if I've got the opportunity to meet one of the actors and I've got something that ties in with them, it could be a helmet, it could be a 1/6 scale figure. I also like to think about having something in some way to tie the autograph that I cannot get from them into that particular item. Now, I'm not a crazy fan of having actual items autographed. I think they should be separated, so you should have the ability to display the autograph but not on the item, and this is my solution. I will have custom made plaques made up. They are kind of aluminium, brushed aluminium. I use a company on eBay, Custom Plaques. They're based in the States. They do terrific work. Absolutely fantastic. They will design any type of plaque that you want, and I'll put the details up on the screen now as to what you're looking at and how to get them. Really low cost. I think each plaque will be about £10 or $12, depending on the size and the detail. That's roughly the average price that I pay, and then plus shipping on top. But it really does add another dimension to what you're collecting. So you can see I've got Peter Weller, I've got 2 plaques here, and they're interchangeable. They're not tied in with that particular 1/6. It just says, here is Peter Weller, he is Robocop. Here is Peter Weller, he is Alex Murphy. Other plaques that I've got, and you may have seen some of these because there's an individual video, so I'll not rattle on about them, but I've also got plaques from Donnie Yen and Alan Tudyk. But there's also plaques here in the kind of master replicas style that I think putting in place, they're not signature plaques, but I think getting some plaques made up by the same company and having them displayed next to your items. So there you are, I've got Ghost in the Shell thermoptic pistol. We've got the Universal 180 blaster, Officer K blaster that I just showed you, and they closely match the original Master Replicas Plaques. These make a big difference. I'm actually waiting on a new fresh batch landing from the company in the next couple of days for some of the items that don't have them at the moment, but I think display plaques can make quite a bit of a difference to your overall display. What else is there to say? I mentioned before, this area doubles up as like a cinema room, and you can see, well, how on earth do you have a cinema room in here? You'll note I've got the projector up here. It's hidden in a box that I built myself, so the projector's just literally on the ceiling. The wiring goes above the ceiling and down this pipe chase, and then comes out at the back there to give me an HDMI connection. There's also a power socket being put up there as well, so the projector can be powered. It's connected to that Sonos speaker, so I've got a Sonos soundbar here, and that gives me the sound from the projector. But where is the projector? So I've hidden the projector behind this this wooden plate, as you would call it. And if I go around here, you can just see there's a projector there, and that's how it's powered. I've got a socket on the ceiling up there. It's all neat, it's all tidy. You very rarely look up there, so you can't really see it. And if I just grab the remote control, when I want to watch a movie, this one comes with this remote. I literally press the button to put it down. It comes all the way down, and then you turn the projector on, and it's movie time. And again, this is all about thinking about what you want the room to do, how you want it to function. The large majority of the time I'm using this room just to sit and watch TV. So, got a wee TV here, and we've got a couch there. But if I need to, and I want to watch a movie properly, I can put the screen down. 115 inch, I believe that screen is. It's a powered screen, £115 from Amazon. And you can see, you can close the blinds, get it really dark in here, and it works an absolute charm, an absolute treat. I'll put that back away. Another thing to look out for in your display, in my view, is the way in which you display blasters and lightsabers. It's worthwhile going on eBay and having a look. I use a particular company, and I'll flash up their details as well. You may have something like a pistol or a saber. It's worthwhile looking into acrylic displays to help you display that item in the best way possible. You can see here I've just got an acrylic, very low cost, I think £5 for that, to hold up that blaster. I've got another one down here. They come in various ranges of sizes. Also, if you look at this one, you can see that I'm using acrylic boxes and acrylic risers, which you can't really see from a distance, but I'm using that to almost layer things in the same space. So I have the DVD and the goggles in this one, and I'm using acrylic risers to bring those up above the blaster, to kind of fill the space a bit more, make sure everything's visible, and it really does help the whole display kind of being nice and clean looking. So I guess that's really it. There's not a lot more to say. Wall space, I think wall space is important. One of the things that when I designed this conversion, I didn't want a giant window in the room. So I wanted to maximise my wall space as much as I possibly could. So rather than having a big window put in here, I asked the builder to put in two very slim window panels either side, and that gives me that whole wall to do something with. So now I've got a desk on it, and I've got shelving which can take another 8-10 hot toys or whatever I may want to put up there. I'm using every available space, and it might look as if the room's pretty full, but there's lots of room for expansion in here. And the fact that I'm using kind of white and oak, I can go out to IKEA or I can go into another furniture retailer and very easily buy something that may suit the requirements of something new that I might have, and still will fit in and tie in with the overall room as well. But I think it's important to plan out your space, your wall space. You can see I've got there's not a lot you can do in this corner. You don't want to block the window. You want to have that natural light coming in. So there's a wall there that you can put anything on, a poster. I've chosen to put up some swords, some autographs. You could put some framed prints. You could put some small shelves. You know, you could have some small shelves running down that wall with various items on them. Up here you can see I've got an autograph right above that window, and it's utilising that space really well. So you need to think, in my view, about all the space that you have, and how you can maximise the space in your own room. And part of the fun, and don't be afraid to think, well, actually, yeah, I'm going to change that entire display and I'm going to do it a bit differently to accommodate something new that you've got. This room has changed 2, 3, 4 times since it was originally built. You know, I wanted a TV, I wanted a couch. That was never part of the original design. I had some desks over on this wall, and I found ways to try and put a couch in to accommodate a seating area so I can sit and watch a TV. You can see over here, for example, I've got a cupboard here which houses the boiler for the house, and below, you know, it's an awkward space, but I'm utilising that space by finding something that fits in to that space, as well as still keeping things grouped together. So you should always try and maximise your space, and make sure that you can get things displayed in the best way possible. So to recap, a couple of personal points that I would fully recommend. If you have a room or you are planning a room, think about the background colour, think about the layout. It's worthwhile spending as much time as possible planning everything out. Think about the option of not using glass, and how you're going to display the items, and make sure at any angle you can still see that collectible or that item. Really think about lighting and cable management. I think lighting can make the biggest difference to any collection. You can buy lighting solutions which are from IKEA or online from eBay, for example, and think about, when you do have that lighting installed, how do you access it and how do you turn it on and off? Remote switches, and you can use, you know, home automation, you can use Alexa, and you can have multicoloured lights if you wish. As I said before, I prefer the warm white. Warm white, I think, is about 3000K. It really does give everything visually the best colour temperature to display things with. And yeah, just plan out and make sure that you're not putting all your eggs in one basket when it comes to furniture choices. You know, somewhere like IKEA, it has a breadth of furniture and colours which all tie in with each other. So you need to consider that, because in 5 years' time you might want to add a piece of furniture or a new shelf. You need to use something that you know is going to be the same colour or the same design in 5 years' time. Think about little additions, so display plaques. How do you layer your various items together through acrylic risers or acrylic boxes, or, you know, acrylic stands, to really get the best out of your items. So I hope that I've been able to kind of give everyone some clear ideas on how to properly put some ideas in place for a clean display or a nice display. I'm no expert, but part and parcel of the enjoyment of this collectibles hobby that I have is trying to find ways to present these items as best as possible. You know, I absolutely love walking in this room and watching TV and just being able to sit in one spot and look around and see everything. It's for me really important for me to view everything in the same way, and I'm very lucky to have a room.
So I hope that's gave you some ideas and some tips on how a display like this is built. This is only my personal preferences and personal opinions. I'm just trying to share some advice and some tips and some ideas to maximise the potential of perhaps your own displays. As we summarised, there's some really key important points for me in my own collection, such as wire and cable management, clean, bright display, warm lighting rather than cold, bright white lighting, as well as challenging yourself to find new and inventive ways to display your items. Again, if you like what you've seen today, please do give me the thumbs up. I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have, or if you just have a general comment you'd like to leave, please do so. More videos on the way. I'm going to at least try and do one video per week, and I've got some really good ideas that I'm going to put up on the channel over the next few weeks and months. We've got lots of items arriving, so there may be some ways we can display them better, and I'll maybe home in on them one at a time. So yeah, if you're interested in new content, please do subscribe. So thank you very much for joining us. I do hope you've got at least some small value out of today's video. And until the next time, please do take care.